Good morning, everybody. I am Chris the Shriner Dog, coming to you from Warrensburg, Missouri. First time I've actually ever been in Missouri myself. As of the recording of this video, it is Saturday, June 14th, 2025. Got into town last night, or not last night, more like yesterday afternoon. And I'm here to do my 34-hour reset. Today is not going to be much of a video. It's going to be like one of those walk and talk type of videos. Just trying to catch up about what's going on with my weird work schedule. If I sound like I'm complaining in today's video, I'm not trying to, and I apologize for that beforehand. But I got a lot on my mind I need to talk about when it comes to work. Semi-tow truck right here. Anyways, bear with me in today's video. Kind of get a little bit of a update. I'm not complaining about the company in, but there's just a few things that are going on that are very questionable in my head. So if you're willing to lend an ear, come hang out with me throughout the rest of the video. And then you go in and go brush my teeth for the morning or for the day. Well, not really for the day, because I brush my teeth at least 2 or 3 times a day. At least. TMI though. Anyways, I'm gonna do that, and we're gonna start walking over to the distribution center right over there. So come with me and listen, please. Also, side note, might as well mention this towards the beginning of my video. Throughout the rest of today's video, I may be including random clips just to change the scenery, change what you're looking at, because there's not going to be a whole lot more to the video than what you're seeing right now, and then my complaining, I guess you could say. Yeah, so this week has been really stressful for me. If anybody has ever been part of the trucking industry, has ever been a trucker, you realize things can change on the whim. One of the things I really do have to complain about with the company that I drive for, I deliver product for Dollar Tree at various locations, where you can see right here. I am at the distribution center in Warrensburg, Missouri. Up until this week, I was driving up to Ridgefield, Washington State from Salt Lake City, which is where you saw a lot of like the same stuff. A lot of stuff I guess you could say I recorded different times, but same places, just different points of view. And then I would usually add in narration to those videos. If I'm not already doing what I'm doing now, where I'm talking along with the video, I'll add in narration later on. I still plan on doing videos like that. It's just that I'm gonna be coming out to Warrensburg, Missouri, which is like a 20-hour drive pretty much from Salt Lake City. So you might be seeing some new things, some of it might be the same, but here we go with the new journey, you know. But before we actually go over to the distribution center, I just realized I gotta go back to my truck and I gotta go grab my vest, because they require that we wear a vest on property while we're over there, and I'm not wearing my vest, so I gotta go get it. And let's go. Throughout my videos, I've always mentioned how I always go to like Nampa, Idaho, going to like the Amazon facility out there just outside of Boise, Idaho, and I would always stay at the Comfort Inn and Suites in Jerome and Twin Falls, Idaho. This is the company I was actually driving for at the time, the Hub Group. That was the second trucking job I ever had, delivering shipping containers like that. I almost stepped in it just a second ago. A big old puddle of oil from that truck that was getting towed just a second ago that I showed in the video. Big old puddle of oil. Normally I could put this on my jacket, my work coat, so it's high vis picture, or you know what I mean, it's high visible colors, neon, stuff like that, reflectors. I usually like to wear this, but it's already 84 degrees this morning. It's 9:30 in the morning, so I'm not gonna be wearing a coat. All right, I bet you by now you're like, all right, Shriner Dog, what's your story? What kind of tale are you gonna be telling us today? Well, let's get to that point, and before I go on, I do have to apologize beforehand, because I am someone who tends to repeat myself during my stories. It all comes full circle, and I can't help it. Could be the fact that I might have autism, or a little bit of it at least. I don't know. I cannot self-diagnose myself, but I do know that I show some signs. And I'll kind of explain what I mean by that in my story today. Okay, so about 2.5 weeks ago, the Dollar Tree drivers that are going up to Ridgefield, Washington, that are based out of Utah, we found out that there is like a regional realignment. Basically, they're changing the boundaries of where we need to go. Anyways, Ridgefield, Washington, the Dollar Tree distribution center up there, about a 15-hour drive from Salt Lake City. They lost most of the Utah stops. I think the only parts of Utah that they're delivering to is the closer to the border they are. So basically, Logan, Utah. Maybe even Brigham City farther up north. I've been to those stores a few times, especially within the last month. Anyways, about 2.5 weeks ago, we found out that that us Utah drivers for the Dollar Tree accounts for the company I drive for, we found out that we were going to start going out to Warrensburg, Missouri, to this distribution center to pick up our loads. Anyways, I talked to the lead lady. I'm not going to mention her name because of just as out of respect and privacy for the company and for the individual and their family. So I'm not going to mention anybody's names. Anyways, we find out that we are going to start coming down here. And I was confused. It's brand new. The dispatchers up in Ridgefield there, it's brand new to them. They didn't know what was going on. So they could really only pass on the information that they knew to us, which was very little. And me, I have a kind of a particular schedule I gotta meet. And forgive me, because it might sound like I'm just trying to get out of doing weekend work, but I'm really not. For anybody who has been watching my channel for any amount of time, would know that all 3 of my kids struggle from special needs that they have. You know, autism, basically. I mean, it's not all just autism, but they can summarize it all as autism. Some of them, a couple of them are a little more severe than others. Either way, all 3 of them are very, 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 very difficult for one parent to take care of. But yeah, I know, usually people have kids all the time, and 3 kids, that's usually more than what a lot of people do have outside of the state of Utah. Whereas in the state of Utah, that's not a lot. So for one parent to take care of them all week long is very, very, very emotionally and mentally stressful. It really is. So I was committed to try to get the weekends off so that way I can be home, and that way I can feel like I can play dad. I mean, they are my children, and I don't feel like I'm forced into playing the role of dad, because I love my kids. I want to be dad. I want to be their dad. I want to be there when they grow up, you know. I want to be a part of their lives. They're never going to be able to take care of themselves. They're always going to have to live with us until we die. And I don't know what's going to happen after we die with our kids. Still trying to figure that stuff out. Well, I'm not going to get too deep into that. We'll figure that out. So there, from that, like I was when I was working for Schneider a couple of jobs ago, and for Penske. Well, when I was working for Schneider, I wasn't making a whole lot of money driving for them, so my wife picked up a job working at a gym on the weekends, so that way she can feel like she's helping to provide for our family financially. So I definitely have to give her that. It's really cool that she does that. She is the most amazing woman on earth. But she got hired on to work on the weekends, because I was not working weekends when I was driving for Schneider. Nor was I working on weekends when I was driving for Penske Logistics, my last job before I came here. So I was committed. Like I was definitely making more money when I was driving for Penske. And so basically the hours she was doing, the money she was making at where she was working, I'm not going to mention where she works at for privacy issues. I'm just going to say that she worked on the weekends. That was her set time, and that's what she was hired to do. And she was committed to it. And I was committed to letting her, you know, I shouldn't say letting her, but I was committed to that as well. Because again, like I said, she wanted to help, like she wanted to feel like she was helping her with for her family financially, and I was okay with that. 100% okay with that. So it worked out for a very long time, and then I got let go from my job at Penske in this last September, so September 2024. And so she was able to talk to her boss. Well, they were letting go drivers out of both Utah and California, and at the time Utah only had 4 drivers, but unfortunately I was third on the seniority list out of 4. So they let go of us, the bottom 2 drivers, me and the one driver that was below me in seniority, and they let go of about 30 drivers out of California, where our headquarters, where our main hub was at, and they let us all go because there was not enough freight to keep us going. So they had to do that. They had no choice. So a couple weeks later, I started driving for, well, where I work now. Anyways, I was talking when I got hired on. Before I actually officially got hired on, I was talking to the recruiter, and I told them, it's like, hey, I'm in this weird situation right now, and I know it's not normal. I know that it sounds like I'm trying to get out of work, but really I need to have the weekends off, or at least as much as the weekends off as I possibly can. Like if I'm on the road and I get home like on a Saturday and I have to pull over for Friday night and get home Saturday morning, I'll do that. I just have to be home as early as I possibly can on Saturdays. They're like, oh yeah, okay, no big deal. I'm sure you can talk to your dispatcher, you know, and get that squared away. But yeah, we can do that. I'm pretty sure they can do that. Stuff like this. Like, okay, all right. Man, I should have gotten that in writing. So I go through orientation. It's like a week-long orientation in Salt Lake City, and I stayed there for the week. And they told me, oh yeah, they basically told me the same thing. Like, oh yeah, I need to talk to your dispatcher about that. Let them know about that, and see if you can work things out. And 9 times out of 10, things work out. Every once in a while, you might have to work in a weekend. I was like, that's okay. You know, I can work on a weekend every once in a while. But the thing is, I just need to know about it ahead of time. If it's planned, I need to know about it, so that way I can schedule that with my wife and let her know about it, you know. And also another reason why she wanted to work on the weekends, because like I said earlier, it is mentally stressful to take care of 3 kids with special needs. And by her going out to work this weekend job, that helped her out. And that's another reason why I was all for it, because I want her to be, you know, I want her to feel happy. I want her to be happy. And I know that she is happy with us and the kids, but like I said, very stressful to take care of 3 kids with mental health issues. They can't help it. They can't help themselves. So it was a way for her to take a break from that for a little bit. And that's another reason why I was all for it. Anyways, so I get hired, I get done with orientation, and the guy who was, again, I'm not going to mention his name because he is still a current employee for where I work at now, and I don't want to like break that or anything like that. So he was training me. He called me up the Saturday before we were supposed to go. And I was under the impression we didn't have to leave until Monday because of what he had talked about. And otherwise, I had no idea who I needed to contact. I didn't know who the dispatchers were. I didn't have anybody's phone numbers at all. So, yeah, and then, so I get the call from the guy who's going to train me. And he tells me, hey, we need to leave early on Sunday morning. We need to leave at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, whoa. hold on, I can't just up and leave on Sunday morning like that just because, well, because I don't have someone to, you know, take care of my kids and my wife has to go to work. No one told me that I was leaving Sunday. I was under the impression I had to leave on Monday. So we're able to figure it out, leave super early Monday morning, and we drove up to Boardman, Oregon. By the time we get to Boardman, I took over and drove the rest of the way to Ridgefield, Washington, and then we drove out to our first stop. And I was asking him some questions about stuff like that, and he kind of did that thing like, oh, that's not how things work around here and stuff like that. And he was just telling me that we are required to do two routes per week. I was like, that's not what they told me during orientation when they hired me. I don't know if I can make this work. You know, how am I supposed to make this work? He's like, I don't know. I guess you can always talk to the guys at dispatch about that. I was like, well, I kind of tried to, but they kind of just like shrugged it off, you know. But I guess I can talk to them when we go back in person. So we go ahead, like, we don't really talk much about it after that. But after that, that Tuesday we're in Oregon, we're like in Bend, Eugene, in that area and stuff like that. We get done. We had like 3 or 4 stops. We get done with them. I slept through like the first stop and a half because I had to wait for my 10-hour reset to get done to keep going. But once my 10 hours is up, I was able to go and help the guy who trained me unload the rest of the trailer for the rest of the day. And by the time his time was up, or by the time our deliveries are done, he still had a few hours. So he drove for a little bit, and then I drove the rest of the way back to Ridgefield. And that's when we got back, that's when I decided, he's like, hey, I need to talk to the dispatchers and stuff like that. And that's when I told them my situation. I was like, this is exactly what they told me at the recruitment office. This is exactly what they told me at the orientation. And I can't do that. They were like very adamant about how, like, you need to do 2 loads per week or else we're not making money, then you're not making money. I was like, well, I understand that, but like, the only reason why I accepted this job, I guess I can't go this way. That's okay, I'll go around. But I was like, the only reason why I accepted this job, this offer, is because they told me, you know, I can have the weekends off because I need those. I'm not trying to get out of work because I have to be dad on the weekends. I have to take care of my kids. No one wants to take care of 3 kids who have special needs. And if they do, it's very, 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 very hard to find those individuals every single weekend to do that. You know, I mean, like I said before, every once in a while on a weekend, yeah, sure, like one weekend every month or every other month or something, you can set something up like that. But honestly, I can't just do that every single weekend because we're trying to make money. If we get people to come watch our kids, they're expected to be paid for the time every single weekend. I can't do that. You know, and then my oldest son, he's too old to go to like a daycare, or, you know, he's gonna be 17 this year. He can't take care of himself at all, so he has to have someone there with him. So it was very difficult. It was very difficult to make everything work. And like I said before, I'm not trying to get sympathy from anybody or anything like that, but, you know, I needed to have it set up that way. And there are quite a few weeks where I missed a Saturday, and that was unintentional because a lot of the stops I was going to on Fridays in Utah, they were very slow. And so that way, by the time I got to my last stop, I maybe only had like an hour or 2 hours left, and they were like the slowest store of the day. And I couldn't, once my 14 is up, I can't leave anywhere, so I have to get back to Salt Lake City the next day. Some days I've even documented it on my daily video and stuff like that, where I didn't get off work until like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night on a Friday. So I couldn't even clock back in until at least 8 o'clock. And I would have missed my Tuesday loads because of that, because of stuff like that. That happened a lot. And it was out of my control. But a lot of the people who were in the dispatching field, they saw it as though I had control over that, which is not true. Luckily, there was another dispatcher who was a driver for the same account, but so he had experience. So he saw that. He's like, he's been to those stores that I was going to. He's like, oh yeah, they are all slow. So he was able to convince the other dispatchers that he's not bullcrap. We the dispatchers are kind of screwing him over. At least that's how he saw it, and I was okay with it because it allowed me to have the most of the weekends out. It allowed me to have the schedule I needed, the one I requested, the one I was promised. It allowed me to have that schedule, so I was okay with it. And I didn't see any other way of working. I saw no other way of it working any other possible way at all. Well, he was able to have it to where, set my schedule to where I would have a Monday Utah load, and then a Thursday like Washington load. And I was doing that for like the last month and a half I was there. I'll go back to like the whole St. George stuff later on, but so that was working for about a month and a half. He had me doing that, and the Thursday loads in Washington State, they were great. I loved it. It got me to go back home for a little bit for the night, and then on Friday mornings, usually by the end of my route on Thursdays, I was able to have enough time to at least get down to Napa Vine, Washington, and park at the Love's gas station there for the night. I've documented a lot of that, so I was able to do that a lot and stay there for the night. And that cut off an hour drive time on the next day of me getting back down to Ridgefield and going on from there. So it was working, and a lot of time I would get home around noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturdays, which still allowed my wife to go to most of her shift on Saturdays. Some days I was able to get back earlier, like 9 or 10 o'clock. She still missed like a half hour to an hour of her shift, but she was able to make up for it by working whatever extra time she could work, so she would have to work later. So she made up for it, which is nice. And then about 2 weeks ago, we found out that we were coming here. I was like, man, why are they changing things on this? Where I think that where I suspect I might have autism, or at least have it to some extent. Again, I cannot officially diagnose myself because I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'm seeing these little attributes in my head, or in my being every once in a while. I struggle with transitioning. Once I find like a set schedule, once I find something that works, I want to stay to it. I get complacent with it, and then once things change like that, I struggle with that. I have a hard time to start putting up a fight, putting up a fuss and stuff like that, because it's a transition, it's a change, and I don't like change. Like once I get sent in my way, once I find something that works for me, I want to keep it that way for at least for a long time, and I want to have things change on my terms. So anyways, we find out about 2 weeks ago that we're gonna start going to Warrensburg, Missouri, where I am at now. And I kind of figured, I wasn't happy with the decision, but all the Utah drivers are coming here because they didn't have enough loads going to Utah to keep us busy up in Ridgefield, Washington. So I had no choice, and I kind of figured after some time I'll be okay with it. I just have to deal with it, basically. Struggled with it for a little while, but that was okay. Anyways, a couple weeks ago, they had Judy. So yeah, a couple weeks ago they had the dispatcher here, from here, or what, like the main dispatcher from here, call me up so that way I get more information about what it entails. Because again, I had a certain schedule I had to keep. And sorry, I didn't try to talk over the lawnmower over there. But that was my concern, and I expressed that to the lady up in Washington State, who was kind of like the head honcho for the dispatchers for the company I was driving for. She was like the head honcho. So I was telling her about the situation that I was in, and I can tell that a couple of the other dispatchers are kind of doing the eye roll, like, oh boy, not this again, It's like, well, it's still true, just as true today as it was back then. And the schedule I was having right now, where I was doing one in Washington on Thursdays and one in Utah on Mondays, that was working out just fine. It was working out perfectly for me. And I was making some good money for it, for doing that. Or I was making some decent money. They took a lot more out of tax than I would have liked them to take out. But that's a different story. I'm not going to get into that. But the point is, I was making some good money. So she's like, okay, I don't know exactly what's going on, but let me have the lady here give you a call and you can tell her what your situation is. I was like, okay, all right. I look forward to the call. So I went ahead and I picked up my load that week, because that week I was going to, let's see, I actually had a Washington load, because that was a Tuesday when we found out about that. And I had just picked up my load. It was actually Wednesday, because I remember I had just gotten to Ridgefield. I was there to drop off an empty trailer that I had attached to my tractor, and I was basically going there to go pick up my next load to go up into Washington, because it was Wednesday. I had Washington load to do on Thursday, and that's what I was doing. So I get to about, I do all that, take care of that. I'm on my way up to Washington. I'm on my way up to, I want to, if I remember correctly, I was on my way up to Tacoma or to Kent or something like that. But I pulled over at the Napa Vine Loves so I can go fill up with some gas. Anyways, I get a call from the dispatcher lady here, and you know, we're talking for a good half hour, 45 minutes or so. I told her the situation that I'm in. I was like, I know that I have a weird situation, and I know that it might sound like I'm trying to get out of doing some extra work, but I'm really not. And at least she was somewhat understandable. At that time, I felt like she was like completely understood and everything, because I told her I have 3 kids with special needs and I need to have at least most of the weekend as off as I possibly could. And she said, we could probably make that work. And she really made it sound like I could have the weekends off, basically. So she was telling me that all of our loads that we're doing, all of our Utah loads, they are done on Mondays no matter what. I was like, okay, I can do that. No matter what, I can do that. No big deal. I can go pick up my loads and then have the weekends off, or at least most of the weekends off as I possibly could, because it's like a 20-hour drive to get from, or it's close to 20, not quite 20 hours, but it's close to 20-hour drive to get from Salt Lake City to where we are at in Warrensburg, Missouri. So that's what we did. I told her, I was like, yeah, that should work. If I can have Monday, if I have Monday deliveries, that'll be fine. Once I get done making those deliveries Tuesday morning, I can start heading out this way, drive for as long as I possibly could, get out here by Wednesday, drop off my empty trailer, come over here and drop off my empty trailer here, pick up my loaded container or trailer here, and then with having like 2 or 3 hours left of drive time that I could use up for the day, go out to Love's and go to one that's out in Kansas City that I was at yesterday, that I filmed at yesterday, and I could park there for the night, so that way come Thursday morning I have an hour that I've already, you know, gotten out of the way. So I can park there for the night and then be done for the night, and then that's 1 hour less of drive time I have to do for the next couple of days. Just crossing because there's no cars coming, there's no sidewalk over there. So yeah, then I can do that, and then Thursday I can knock out the majority of my drive time and go from Kansas City out to at least I want to say western Nebraska, almost Cheyenne, Wyoming, pretty much. Get out that far, maybe that area, because I've stayed in Laramie, I've stayed in Cheyenne numerous amounts of times last year when I was driving for Penske, right around the time when I decided I'd start posting my channel again, but not quite doing daily videos. And I kind of figured if I got there, I'd be driving across the majority of Wyoming, if not all of it, the next day, which would be a Friday. If I can't, I mean, if I get to Cheyenne, Wyoming, I should have no problem whatsoever getting back to Salt Lake City by the end of Friday. But if anything happens, then I'd still be home. You know, if anything happens to where I can have to take a break, do my 10-hour break, 10-hour reset, then I can still get back to Salt Lake City early Saturday morning. Now here's the problem. That's the way it sounded like we could do. Found out that the Utah loads are actually going to be ready to pick up here either Thursday nights or Friday morning. That right there kind of messes it up. And so now we come up to this week, about what happened this week. Okay, so as you all know, I took about half of last week off for two reasons. One of them, the main reason why I took some time off, is because I wanted to go out and get my hazmat endorsement done. I wanted to get some study time in and get some practice quiz time in, so that way I could get that dang hazmat endorsement done, because that's the one endorsement that can actually give me the potential to make even more, like a lot of money. But the other reason is because I wanted to go pick up a Switch 2 and get that done. I picked that up then. Last week I was able to achieve both of them, getting both done, so my plan is working so far. And during that time off, one of the dispatchers up in Ridgefield, Washington texted me, and she's like, "Hey Chris, when do you expect to bring your empty back up here?" I was like, "Well, I don't plan on leaving to go back up there until Monday, you know." I was like, "Okay, see you Tuesday." I was like, "Okay, see you Tuesday. I can still do a Washington load on Thursday if you guys want me to." And I kind of expected that, like, the following week being next week, I can start heading out to Warrensburg, Missouri, because I thought that's what the plan was. I thought we all knew about that. Boy, was I wrong. But I didn't know I was wrong at the time. So was I really wrong? So I go this last Monday. I'm like, you know, I've done. You've seen my daily videos. Like, this is quite possibly the last time I'll be driving up here for a little while. I got a little melancholy because I love driving that route up to Boise. I love having those, like, same stops I'd always stop at, knowing exactly when I could be where and at what time, where to be, not having to use GPS or anything like that. So yeah, but I knew that was going to happen. So I was, by that point, I was mentally prepared for that, and it was okay. I was okay with doing that. I just kind of figured that once I drop off my trailer on Tuesday, this last Tuesday, I could take my time getting back. I even thought about the idea of driving through Pocatello, where I used to go, driving through like I-86 to go out to Pocatello, to drive down I-15 in Idaho, in that area one last time, before having to come out here, just for old time's sake. I had never taken that route since driving for the company I did, but the last time I was actually going through there was the last time I did an Idaho route at Penske last year. And I kind of wanted to go through there for old time's sake. Changed up the vlogs a little bit, you know, by that point. But it didn't work out to be that way either. Where am I going? Where am I going? This is like a really long way around. So I guess I'm gonna go back this way, which is okay. No big deal. It's kind of a learning experience for me. I just basically got to be right there. And I thought by going this way, I could do it. I guess I can do that, but I'm going to do a little research. I'm going to go back this way and do a little bit of research. So on Tuesday morning, I go there and I drop off the trailer, and the dispatcher started transferring all my profiles to this new account, this new fleet. Well, I guess it's not a new account, but it's more of a new fleet that I've done. Me and quite a few other Utah drivers are parked here for the weekend, waiting for our stuff to happen for us. Had I not taken last week off, or half last week off, I probably would have already been here waiting around for a little bit. I probably would have had another load. I basically would have been here a couple days earlier, basically. So anyways, on Tuesday I get up to Ridgefield. I kind of talked about it, but I was really frustrated. I let my emotions get the better of me. So I sounded really angry, not happy with the situation. Still not, but you know, it is what it is. And I just kind of want to clarify what's going on. That's the whole point of this video. So Tuesday, you know, they transferred all my stuff. They said I'm good to go. I can start heading back down to Salt Lake City. And I even told them that I can head back to Salt Lake City. That I was heading back to Salt Lake City because I was expecting to do a 34-hour reset down there. And I even told them that, and they said, okay, see, good luck out there. So I'm like, okay. And then just went on my way like nobody's business. So about 10 or 15 minutes down the road, I'm getting ready to cross the bridge over the Columbia into Oregon. I was going to head on over to Troutdale, Oregon, where I usually pull over and, you know, I would either fill up a gas or I'd get something to eat. Just kind of take my time. I was fully planning on taking my time doing a different type of vlog that day. And as I was getting ready to pull over, or as I was getting ready to cross the river, I get a phone call from the dispatch lady from here. So I pull over because I did not have my Bluetooth on. I pulled over, I answered the phone, talking to her, and she's like, where are you going? I was like, I'm going back to Salt Lake City because that's what they told me to do. They said I can go ahead and start heading back to Salt Lake City so I can do my 34-hour reset, because I won't have enough time. If you guys want to do like a Monday load this week, I won't have enough time to, you know, do it, because I have to, by the time I get there, I would only have like, you know, 17 and 20 hours left. I have to do a 34-hour reset. And I would basically be waiting all the way until like, you know, at least Wednesday for my load to be ready. So I might as well just go home and then leave on Monday and be out here by Tuesday or Wednesday or Tuesday afternoon or Monday morning or Wednesday morning. She's like, oh no, that's not how we do things here. I was like, what do you mean? And luckily by this point I was only like 10 or 15 minutes from Ridgefield. And she's like, no, because we need you out here right now. I was like, I can't do that. We talked about this week. We had a special thing said I can't do that this week. I have to be home. She's like, oh no, we never set up a special thing. I know you have kids with special needs, but you never told me that I had weekends. Like, that's bull crap. I told you I need to at least have the majority of the weekends off. You know, whether I get home Saturday morning or whatever, I just need to be home to do my 34-hour reset at home. And he's like, you and I talked about it. I can still do Monday Utah loads and then leave on Tuesday to come drop off the empty and pick up my next one for the following Monday, and then be home by, you know, Saturday morning at the latest. Oh no, that's gonna be impossible to do. I was like, why is that? You told me 2 weeks ago that's what we can do. That's what you told me. And at that time you said you're okay with that. And she's like, oh no, because our Friday, our Utah loads, they're not ready for pickup until Thursday at the earliest. Friday, most cases are Friday, so we need you to leave like after your 34 hours reset. I was like, that's the point. You never told me that before. She's like, I told all my drivers. I was like, you never told me that before. You never told me that before. So here we are now. I'm stuck here in Warrensburg, Missouri, doing my 34-hour reset. And I basically got to wait until maybe Monday to go do a load, because apparently this week, well, I talked to her again last night because I parked over here. She came from over there to come talk to me and a couple other drivers. And I guess that I am going to go down somewhere in Kansas to go do a load out there. I don't know when, just sometime after my 34-hour reset is done. I don't know when that'll be. So yeah, and then that's where we're at now. So I guess my new schedule is to leave on Thursday, to early Thursday morning, to come out this direction and park somewhere, probably like in Nebraska somewhere, probably the same gas station I did a couple nights ago in North Plate. Park there for the night, and then come out here, because I know that if I leave North Plate, Nebraska, maybe a little bit farther down the road from there, I know that I have enough time to make it here on Friday, drop off my empty, pick up my loaded, and then drive about an hour away to like that Love's gas station in Kansas City that I stopped by yesterday. Park there for the night, because that at least knocks off an hour. Start driving again on Saturday as far as I possibly can, and then on Sunday get to my first stop and park there, and then make the delivery on Monday, and then have Tuesdays and Wednesdays off, because I I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this schedule. So that's where we're at right now, and that's why I'm so frustrated, because it's a change. My wife needs those weekends off. We can't get babysitters, but luckily she was able to find a couple of workers to help cover her shift on the weekends, and she, for like a month or two, she can work Tuesdays and Wednesdays to make up some time, you know, to make up for her hours that she's missing on the weekends. Her boss is okay with it, but my wife needs and wants to work those hours on Saturdays and Sundays, because she likes the workers that she works with us. You know, I don't want to take that away from her at all. I want her to be able to do that because I want her to be happy, and that's why that's part of the reason why I'm so frustrated too. It's because I don't like this change, and I don't like taking that away from my wife, because I know I make her happy. I know that. That's not a question of mine. I know I make her happy, but you know, we are human. Sometimes we need our social interaction from outside families, and I get that, and I trust her, and I want her to be happy too. I mean, I know she's happy with you know, being around me and spending some time with me, but she also finds happiness just being able to take a break from taking care of kids who have special needs. So I get that, and I want to make that possible for her. And I feel bad because I feel like I'm taking that away from her, even though I have no control over that. So, and that's where we're at this point. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video now, since I'm pretty much gonna be here for the next couple of days. Basically, and I don't know exactly where I'm gonna be going or anything like that. So if you enjoyed today's video, if you like today's video, give this video a like. Helps get my channel known and seen everywhere else. And also on top of that, if you haven't subscribed yet, I noticed that the majority of people that watch my videos have not yet subscribed to my channel. Do yourself a favor, subscribe to this channel, and then hit that notification bell to get notified when I post a new video, which is every single day, 6 a.m. Pacific time, 7 a.m. Mountain time, 8 a.m. Central, and then 9 a.m. Eastern. Anyways, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching and hearing me out. Hopefully I don't have to do this very often or for very much longer, you know what I mean? So anyways, we'll talk in tomorrow's video. All right, it is actually a few hours later since the last recording I made, and I realized that there was something I forgot to mention today. Well, early in today's video, I mentioned I was going to talk about the whole Family Dollar account that I was trying for earlier this year. And I actually enjoyed doing that route. So stay with me. That's probably only going to be last a few minutes, so bear with me. I know that this is kind of a long video. It's kind of a boring one because it's not really showing much about what's going on around me. Okay, so earlier this year, I know it's been documented on my channel. I wasn't doing a daily video, but I know I documented sort of the adventure. So earlier this year, what was it, like February, end of January, beginning of February, very beginning of February, if it was that, but I don't think it was that late when I started going down to St. George, Utah to go to the Family Dollar distribution center down there to start working with that account. We were originally told, me and a few other Utah drivers, we were told that we were to start going, well, we were told the week prior that the following week we would finish up the 2 routes we would do for that normal week we had. So it was a normal week, and then we would have to start heading down to St. George, Utah the following week, so like the following Sunday or Monday. In my case, it was a Monday because, well, they forgot that I was going down, so they didn't have a load ready for me right then and there. So I was just kind of waiting around for a little while. And so I remember that Monday, it was probably like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and I still had no load, and I was waiting around for the load to come to me. And I texted the dispatch up in, where the heck do I even go to get in there? I'm trying to figure that out. Anyways, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to get in there from here. Anyway, so I called the dispatch up in Richfield, Washington, and talked to him. I was like, hey, what's going on here? I don't know who I need to talk to down there in St. George, but I still have no load yet. I am waiting around. What is going on? And they're like, oh, you're supposed to have a load to do. I was like, I don't have anything. Yeah. And you guys told me not to go up to Richfield because I was supposed to go to St. George. What is going on? And I'm like, I don't really want to leave the yard until I don't really want to leave the yard up in Salt Lake City until I know for sure where I'm going. And so okay, so they went ahead and they spoke to the people at the Dollar Tree or Family Dollar in St. George, and they, I want to say like within like an hour later, within the following hour after that, the people down in St. George gave me a call. Like, hey, we got a load for you ready for Wednesday to deliver it. When can you come pick it up? I was like, I got an appointment to go to, which was true. That morning I had to go to an appointment because I set up an appointment because with the doctor because I had the time. I kind of figured it's on them, so I'm waiting around. I told them I have an appointment to go to at like 10 o'clock this morning, but it's up in Salt Lake City, so I can go to that appointment, and then right after that I can head over to the yard and start heading down to St. George. They're like, okay, the delivery is going to be in near Reno, Nevada. Not a big deal because Reno, Nevada is about 8 hours from St. George, and it's probably about 5 hours from, maybe it's a tiny bit closer, but it's about 5 hours from Salt Lake City, but St. George is a little bit farther away. So that day, I remember I went all the way down to St. George. I went to my appointment. I went all the way down to St. George, and I remember being kind of excited because, you know, this is like in the heat of winter time where it's really snowy and really cold in Utah. So I was excited to get out of that for a little bit. And from what we were told originally, it was only supposed to last about 3 weeks. And we're like, okay, you know, we'll see how it goes. 2 or 3 weeks, you know, 2 or 3 weeks. And so I get down to St. George. I talk to the lady. It's like, hey, I'm here, but I'm gonna go ahead, and I went ahead and grabbed the load I was supposed to pick up. I was probably there by about 3 or 4 o'clock that evening. And I picked up the load because it's like in my truck, I want to say it's about a 5-hour drive. 6 hours tops. And so I get there about, I want to say about 4 or 5 o'clock that afternoon. And I went to go pick up my load. And then I didn't really want to go too much farther than that day because I didn't know what the parking situation would be like. And usually about 4 or 5 o'clock at night is about when I usually like to look around for a spot for me to park. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And there's a Flying J like 2 miles away from that distribution center down there in St. George. So I went, picked up my trailer, loaded up my rollers, and then from there I went to that Flying J and I parked there for the night. Early the next morning, I want to say it was probably about 6 o'clock or something like that, because that was like the earliest I was able to clock in that day. No, it was actually early. It was like 5 o'clock because I clocked out about 6 p.m. that night, 6 or 7, and the earliest I was able to clock in was about 5 a.m. So woke up 5 a.m., clocked in, ate some breakfast, and then my stop was about a 8 or 9 hour drive away, close to Reno, Nevada. I tell you what, that sure brought back a lot of good memories because my family used to go out to Reno, Nevada all the time. I've been there, well, not all the time. I think I've probably been in the area like 3 or 4 times in my entire life, just hanging out. Loved going out there, loved going out to Virginia City and all that stuff. So it brought back some good memories. And I was delivering there, and then I came back down to And I was able to talk to the guy about my living situation, everything I talked about, having the weekends off, that I talked about in this video. And yeah, he was like, oh yeah, cool, we can work around that, no big deal, not a big deal at all. I was like, okay, cool. So I got my delivery done. I got all my deliveries done. I started heading back to St. George, Utah from there on Thursday morning. Dropped off that empty trailer, and then I went to go pick up a Salt Lake City Monday load. So I was like, all right, cool. And I found it to be pretty consistent, but like every Monday I would have 2 deliveries in Magna, Utah, and then one out in Tooele, Utah, and then one out in Grantsville. Find that that's what I have me do every Monday, and I was always done about 2 or 3 hours before my 14 was up, and that was more than enough time for me to go drive back to Salt Lake City, because I think Grantsville is about 45 minutes outside of Utah or Salt Lake. So I went back and parked there in the yard. I didn't want to. Well, and I live about 45 minutes south, like half an hour to 45 minutes south of Salt Lake City. And I wanted to stay close to my load, because the next morning I didn't want to like wake up super early, only to have to drive back to Salt Lake City and back through down by where I live. So I slept in my truck. I stayed in my truck that night. And at our yard up there in Salt Lake, we have a place where the drivers can go and park their trucks and sleep there, and I take showers and everything. So that's why I did that. Next day, Tuesday, I would always head back down to St. George. I would probably wake up at like 5 o'clock, clock in, but I would probably spend about an hour and a half doing like a pre-trip, because I was always given a Thursday load to do in like Kingman, Arizona, Dolan Springs, sometimes in like southern Nevada, kind of like in the Las Vegas area, maybe like half an hour from Las Vegas. Sorry, my arm is a little itchy. And then from there, I would leave. I'd go down to St. George, and then I would always go and check in and drop off the empty trailer that I had. And then I would always go into the office. I would go talk to the lead guy, and I would say, hey, here, got my empty, dropped it off. My next load ready yet? He said, no, it won't be ready until tomorrow. And I would be like, okay. And that would be it. I would then leave the yard and drive the 2 miles back to that Flying J, and I would park there until the next day. The only reason why I did that is because, the yard down in St. George, to where I was at for Family Dollar distribution center, I could have parked there next, I was allowed to park there, but the problem is if I parked there, then I would be blocking other drivers. I would possibly be blocking other drivers from getting their loads. So I wanted to do the courteous thing, and I would go and park over at the Flying J out there, get out of the way. And I would go out there, I'd park, I would do like an hour and a half long post trip, and that would pretty much be my day. At least when I was down there, I was able to go out and go walk around for a little bit, go check out some other sites. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot I could have done down there. I mean, if I had a car, yeah, there's lots of other things I would have been able to check out, but I don't really want to pay for an Uber. I don't want to pay for Lyft. I don't want to pay for any of that. Look at that, hawks and stuff, crows. But yeah, I didn't want to pay for any of those like ride share services, so I just pretty much walk within like a 2 mile radius where I was at, which you can see in a lot of those videos that I would mostly go to a Walmart. Sorry about that, I had something in my eye that made me pause for a second. And like I said, I would stay within a 2 mile radius of there. And I had done a few vlogs in the area, so you saw that. So what I mostly would walk over to Walmart. The Walmart was there. It's probably like a half mile, 3/4 of a mile tops from that St. George yard, and I would go hang around in there for a little while. Really, the only thing I would ever do, the only thing I would really ever pay for, food-wise, were some groceries that I was trying to get from that particular Walmart to put into my little cooler, and then I would buy a case of water to keep with me. And then I would park behind that Walmart because the cases of water are pretty heavy, and I would just roll it up in the shopping cart, put it in the truck, and fill up my cooler with water to cool them off. And then I would go back the next day around 8 or 9 a.m. because that's when I was told the load would be ready usually. I would go back, pick up that load, and then I would make my way out to where was it at? Meadview, Arizona. I'd taken a few pictures of that and I posted it on my Instagram. Link is down below if you want to come follow me there. And that would be my first stop, Meadview, Arizona, most of the time. And then I would head down. It was about a 4-hour drive tops, and so it wasn't like, so I would usually get there around 1 p.m. more than enough room for me to park, so I hung around there all afternoon. My biggest problem I had with going out to that stop is that I literally had no cell network or anything, no internet, so I couldn't talk to my wife, I couldn't talk to my kids while I was parked there. And there wasn't really any other place for me to park in the area that would get me close, like remotely close to there. So that's why I would park there. I would stop right before I would, like, I found out where I would lose connection at the site, where I would lose my cell network, and I would pull over, call my wife just to catch up with them, and then that would be it for the rest of the day. I wouldn't be able to hear from them for the rest of the day because I was parked and I had no, cell network or internet or anything like that. So what I would do for entertainment is I would download like 3 or 4 movies that I would want to watch, or at least have on in the background. Most of the time it was the Back to the Future movies or one of the James Bond movies. I'm a huge fan of the James Bond movies. There's a couple of them I still haven't seen. Some of them are good, some of them are crap. But I still enjoy watching the James Bond movies regardless. And I would stay there for a night, and then of course I would record a couple of videos which I have posted on this channel, so you can go back and watch them back to like January, February, March. It was nice going to that part of Arizona during the winter time because it was about 70 degrees, where like Utah was like 15 degrees and snowing all over the place. Anyways, that's the account I was trying to get back. And usually when I would get done with that Thursday route, I usually had enough time to where I can go back and park at the Love's travel stops in Las Vegas, or just outside of Las Vegas. And that knocked off a couple hours of my drive time for the next day. And then I would drive the 2 hours to get back to St. George. And if I wasn't able to make it to that Love's travel stops, I would travel to Fillmore, Arizona, or Fillmore, Utah, which is about 2 hours from Salt Lake City, and park at the Love's there. And then that would be it. Now I get home Saturday morning. Anyways, that's the route I'm trying to get back onto. I called them up yesterday to get an update about that, and they gave me those routes purposefully so I can have the weekends off. So I really appreciated that, and that's the one I'm trying to get back onto because that's the kind of schedule I need. None of this hanging around getting a 34-hour reset elsewhere BS and stuff like that. So anyways, that's the end of my story and in today's video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you in tomorrow's video again. See ya.
Hey everybody watching has to subscribe. Subscribing is cool. Thanks.